I've been out of corporate America since 2024. I don't regret it. I haven't looked back. I'm glad I made that decision when I made, and I just heard this story and it wowed me to the point where I feel like I need to share it. For me personally, it's in my nature that when somebody comes to me and says, hey, why don't you try this? I don't look at that as a criticism, or I don't get offended by that. I think, oh, this person is legitimately trying to help me do something to better the way I already do it. And I know that sometimes people can take criticism the wrong way and get offended by it. But when I worked in corporate America, I was always trying to figure out ways to better my efficiency. So when people said, well, why don't you do it this way instead? I didn't take offense to that. I took that and said, hey, that's a really good idea. I'm going to try it. If it worked out, great. If it didn't, I would go back to my old way of doing it. It never hurts to listen to somebody's ideas because you never know if it's going to help you. And having said that, times are always changing. So the way you have done it for like 10, 15 years, there may be a better way now. Small effort can sometimes have big impact for the better. So that's the way I look at things. And that's the way I was when I was in corporate America. If somebody has a suggestion, I listened and I thought, well, because I didn't come from a corporate background when I took that job. So that wasn't my specialty. And I figured other people would know more than me because I wasn't from that background. I never got offended. I always said, yeah, I'll try it out. Or if it just wasn't going to work out and I knew it wasn't going to work out, I would say that and I would express, hey, yeah, this is why I'm not going to do that because I did this before or this and it just didn't work out. Another suggestion the higher ups in the company had was to incorporate an appointment schedule into their website design. So they had their website IT person add a calendar into the website. But the problem was it wasn't synced with everybody's calendar system. So when a client went on the website, they could see the appointment calendar and they could set an appointment, but they didn't know if the person they were going to be meeting with had an appointment or not. It wasn't synced. So therefore it wasn't efficient. But the higher ups never said to us, hey, what do you think about this idea? They just implemented it and nobody knew until a clash happened with somebody's schedule. And then the client got upset because they wanted to come in at, say, 10 a.m. and they couldn't because the person they wanted to meet with already had a booking at 10 a.m. So it caused a clash. Then that's when corporate got involved because they're like, why aren't you meeting with this client? It's because I already had a meeting scheduled because there was no way to incorporate their schedules into this software onto the computer, onto the website. In that case, it wasn't a good, efficient system to have the calendar program, appointment booking program on the website without telling anybody, because then it caused problems. Had corporate come to the personnel and said, hey, we're going to do this, people that actually sit down with the clients every day would have been like, well, wait a minute, I have appointments. Clients call me every day and I make appointments. So how's that going to work? If I can't incorporate my appointments into there, then you're going to have doubling appointments, which is never a good thing for clients. As far as that goes, there are times where implementing ideas is premature. And therefore, more input is needed. And that brings me to the point today. This woman working in this corporate job for about 25 years, she's some type of lead employee. I don't know her exact title, but she's not in management. And this new manager who had some fresh ideas and came into the company all ramped up, as most people would because they're starting a new job, they're excited, and they have all these ideas flowing. But he didn't check with her about something, and he took it upon himself without understanding her job, never having done her job, and never having worked with the public, you see. So he's over here in his little cushy office somewhere in corporate America, and she's technically underneath him because she's the personnel. Even though she's the department lead, he didn't check with her first, and he just ran with this idea. And he sold it to the higher ups. He sold it to all these corporate people, and they all loved it. but he never talked to her or any of the other department leads about it. So of course, when he implemented this idea, things fell apart because it didn't go like he thought. How could it? He's never done her job. So how could implementing his idea go as smoothly as he thought it would when he's never done her job before and doesn't know what she actually needs for help or what could actually help her with efficiency in her department? So one day, her department got together and was having lunch in the little kitchenette in their building. And they were all brainstorming about this new idea from this new manager above them. They were all brainstorming and they were talking about what could go wrong and why they shouldn't have implemented it as quickly as they did without speaking to the department leads or without speaking to the other employees and asking for their input. And the department lead, this woman, came out and said it. It's not beneficial when, and she, like a bullet point list, named each flaw with this new system that this other manager had implemented without her input or knowledge. And she was talking about it. Well, unbeknownst to her, I don't know how this came about or how this occurred, but this person was in earshot. And this person either didn't understand what this woman was talking about or didn't care or just wanted to start rumors. I don't know. But this person went to that manager and told him what she thought she heard or her perspective of what she heard. She didn't go to the department head that was saying it. She went above her to the manager and she said, "This is what I heard." But without the context and without checking with the department head, instead of going to her and saying, "Hey, you know what? This is what I'm being told. Did you say these things? If so, why?" Or instead of the manager saying, "You know, I heard that you had some concerns. Why don't we get together and have a meeting or talk about it?" Because, you know, in corporate America, they're famous for all these silly meetings they have. Weekly, daily, monthly, doesn't seem to matter. They pull out these meetings out of their hat and everybody's got to sit through it whether you need to or not. It's ridiculous, but it's funny when it's the other way around. And they like to implement these things and you don't even know it's happening. They never have a meeting about it though. They never tell you that it's happening. And when you have an opposition to it, they don't want to get together for a meeting for that. Funny how that works. However, in this situation, instead of saying to this woman, this department head, who they've entrusted at this company for 20, 25 years or so, "Hey, you know, I heard you had some concerns about this, what we're doing here. Why don't we get together and have a meeting about it?" Oh, no. What they did instead was they said, "Then no services for you. We're not going to help you with our new plans. So you don't get this service we're implementing. You don't get this help." And they stripped her of all of these new ideas that were implemented by this manager. So her department doesn't get any of the same help or anything that other departments do now because she had some concerns. If you are working for a company and they suddenly decide that if you oppose what they say, or if you have a valid reason for not agreeing with what they say, or if you've been working there for 20, 25 years and know it's not going to work for a reason, and you express your opinion, and they demote you, or they strip your rights to this, whatever they're implementing, or you're dinged or docked in some way, run. Just get out of there. That is a bad, bad company. And for this manager just to be able to come in here and do whatever he wants, people there that aren't in management but have seniority and know their job and do their job well, and they come and say, "Oh, wait, you know, have you considered this? Because that's probably not going to work out the way you think." And that's it. If you're working for a company like that, that is toxicity right there at its finest, and it's only going to get worse. Start putting out your resumes. Start looking for another job. You can do it. And the time is now. Because if they're doing that, what's it going to be next week? What's it going to be next month? What's it going to be next year? This manager obviously has free reign to do what he will. So if you're under the leadership of a person like that, get out. That's my honest advice. Get out. Think about it. You're an employee of a company and your input is no longer wanted, needed, or heard, and everything you say is criticized or downgraded. That's not a good company. And that, I'm afraid, is where I saw the company heading, where I worked for. That's exactly where it was heading. So if you're in a company and you see those same warning signs, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. Just start putting those resumes out now. Sometimes it can take a long time to find another job. I'm just giving honest advice here. I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything or give you wrong advice. And that's why I say, if this was somebody I loved, if this was my family member, if this was somebody that was working in a company and I was like, oh, I see flaws right there, I'm telling you the truth. So if you're seeing things like this at your company, it is time for you to go because you're not appreciated and it's only going to get worse. Thank you so much for watching today. Take care.